Monoco may not be the best damage dealer or the strongest support, but what he does have is unmatched versatility. That versatility is his greatest asset. Being able to pivot between dealing damage, supporting the team, or even acting as a tank depending on the situation is what makes Monoco such a great character. In this build, we're doing all three. He's a true jack of all trades, and this version of Monoco can fit seamlessly into just about any team, making meaningful contributions across the board. I wanted to create my own unique take on him as a hybrid character, and honestly I had way more fun with this than with the usual AP battery Monoco that I was originally going to make. In this video, we'll break down how his mask system works and go over the skills that let him flex into whatever role your team needs. Monoco has 5 masks: Agile, Caster, Heavy, Balanced, and Almighty. Each of his abilities is tied to one of these masks and becomes stronger when used with the matching one. Every ability also spins the mask wheel by a specific number of slots. Your main goal is to land on the Almighty mask as often as possible. Almighty boosts all of Monoco's abilities, letting you do whatever you want while still dealing great damage. On top of that, some of Monoco's best weapons give you extra bonuses when you land on Almighty. So, to maximize his effectiveness, you'll want a mix of skills that use different mask types and spin values. This gives you the best chance to rotate cleanly into Almighty and is a core concept of this build. Monoco really hits his stride in Act 2. While he does get outpaced in raw damage and falls behind CL and even Verso as a late game support, he still brings a lot to the table. You're not missing out by keeping him in the party. The build starts with Cultist Blood, which is the backbone of everything Monoco does. It cuts his HP, but with the right Pictos, that actually makes him tankier by granting him shields. Those same Pictos also boost his damage and crit chance while he's low on health. The skill also deals solid AoE damage, setting enemies up for your teammates to finish them off. After that, we use Cultist Slashes. This one hits harder the lower your health is, so it works perfectly with Cultist Blood and all the associated Pictos. It gives you strong single target damage and really doesn't cost a whole lot. Crueler Barrier is where Monoco's support potential really shows. Defense stats in this game don't really do much. Characters get one shot regardless, so shields are incredibly valuable. Crueler Barrier gives you those shields on demand, and if you're on the Heavy or Almighty mask, it also generates AP. It's easily one of Monoco's best tools, and honestly, I think it belongs in every single Monoco build. Then we have Benissoir Mortar. I might have butchered that. It's our main caster mask skill. It does great damage when you're on the caster mask, but more importantly, it's your key to hitting Almighty consistently. When you use it on a marked enemy, it takes you straight to Almighty. This makes it critical for our rotations, especially when combined with teammates who mark, or free aim Pictos that apply marks for ourselves. Moissanneau Vendage is one of our 2 balanced mask options. It's solid for single target damage, but its real value is as a breaker. Monoco is excellent at breaking enemies quickly and efficiently, and this skill helps him do exactly that. It'll serve us well early on, and even later we'll keep it as our cheap break option. Lastly, there's Claire Enfeeble. I like this one for Act 2 since Powerless still has value here, before enemies start scaling and hitting a little bit too hard. It's a decent AoE with a nice utility debuff, making it a good fit for the mid-game. Now when it comes to combo flow, Monoco's situation is a little tricky. He starts each fight in a random position on the mask wheel, so it's hard to give you a set rotation. Plus, this build is highly flexible. You've got AoE, single target damage, support, and break potential. So what you do really depends on the fight and the situation. With that being said, you almost always want to start with Cultist Blood. It triggers your Pictos for extra damage, crit chance, shield, power, and rush. After that, your choices depend on where your mask lands, but your general goal is to either use a skill that matches your current mask, or one that rotates into Almighty on your next turn. Ideally, both at the same time. That's why it's important to have a mix of skills with different spin values and mask types. Once you hit Act 3, you'll want to drop Clear and Feeble and pick up Duelist Storm, Monoco's strongest ability. You'll need to defeat one of 2 duelists very late in the game to unlock it, but the payoff is more than worth it. Duelist Storm is a beast. It deals massive damage and becomes your new go-to breaker as well. It's expensive and ideally used with Almighty Mask, so it takes some investment to get rolling. Fortunately, we'll be using a new weapon that starts you in Almighty every fight, which simplifies things a lot. Because of that guaranteed start, combos become way more consistent. A great example is opening with Duelist Storm to break and crush a single target. That'll spin you 1 to the right to the caster mask, where you can apply a mark and then fire off Benissoir Mortar to bounce right back into the Almighty Mask. Then you can rinse and repeat. You can also still open with Cultist Blood, which deals tons of AoE damage, especially with the Almighty bonus, and sets up all of your Pictos again thanks to the HP drop. Cultist Slashes remains your cheap single target tool, Moissanneau Vendage is still your cheap breaker, and Crueler Barrier continues to shield your allies. Also, do not forget about Monoco's free aim attacks. These are incredibly valuable for applying marks, burning targets, and with our AP generation, they are kind of free, so work them into your flow whenever it makes sense. This is especially true if you're not using any companions that can mark for Monoco, because then he'll have to use his free aim attack to do the marks for himself. Again, so you can set up that Duelist Storm Mortar combo until you run out of AP. As for gradient attacks, I haven't mentioned them much in other builds because they're usually just pretty okay, but Monoco's are pretty excellent. His level 1 gauge attack is very strong, letting you basically delete anything that is stunned. He stuns often, so stunning into level 1 gradients is a great way to finish enemies off. His level 2 gauge is solid in emergencies, offering instant shield generation, and his level 3 is fantastic for shutting down a boss with a full stun no matter how much break damage they currently have on them. He is one of my favorite characters to use the gradient gauge on. For early weapons, you've got 2 main options, Saidaro and Bolaro. Saidaro is the easier one to get, you just have to beat Golgra in a duel using Monoco. And if you fought Golgra, you would know that that's pretty hard. Luckily, there is a version of Golgra early on, where if you talk to her as Monoco, it's much easier. Saidaro has good scaling and some extra AP generation at level 20, making it a great choice. Bolaro, though, is the better option overall. It gives you better AP generation sooner and improves the mask wheel flow slightly. It makes Monoco feel smoother and more effective as a hybrid support damage unit. It is, however, much harder to acquire. If you're using a full-blown support Monoco, this is likely the weapon you'll want to use. But both of those get blown away by Joyaro in a hybrid build. This weapon is a game changer. It starts you off in Almighty Mask every battle, giving you immediate flexibility and huge damage potential right from the start. It also boosts your damage each turn you avoid taking hits, which works great with your shield stacking. The final upgrade is fantastic as well. It increases your break output by 50%, which just stacks perfectly with everything else in the kit. For stats, you'll want to focus on agility first. It increases your speed and improves weapon scaling. After that, invest in defense, since your main weapon scales with it and it adds a little crit chance. Finish off with might for a solid base damage boost. You should also aim to invest enough Pictos to get Monoco's crit chance up to 50%. That way, with the critical moment Picto, you'll be hitting 100% crits every time, assuming that you start the fight with Cultist Blood. I'll have the recommended Pictos on screen now. You can also find them in the full leveling guide linked in the description. The build's Pictos revolve around 2 core concepts, setting up marks and AP through free aim shots, and using Cultist Blood to stay at low health for massive bonuses. Prioritize those Pictos and stack those with general damage boosting Pictos, and you've got yourself a well-rounded powerhouse. Monoco pairs incredibly well with his best bud Verso. Verso's stuns and Endbringer skill let him wipe out whatever Monoco has softened or broken. Lune is another excellent partner, especially if she's running a break-focused build with abilities like Terra Quake. Monoco really shines when surrounded by break-heavy teammates. He supports them, sets them up, and still brings the damage himself, making him the ideal hybrid partner for hard-hitting allies. He might not be the flashiest character in the game, but when you build him right, he becomes one of the most flexible and rewarding to play, able to dish out damage, break enemies, and shield allies. If you're looking for a build that can do a bit of everything and slot into any team, then this is it. With so many options, there is a lot you can do with Monoco. I will certainly be making more builds for him in the future, including an entire Firebase build for the Fire Party video I hope to be releasing this weekend. 5 builds all in one video, with ideal synergies and a lot of burning. Let me know what direction you took Monoco in the comments. And thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.